So today I want to talk about why your startup isn't fundable, why you're not getting traction, why you're not getting term sheets, and why you haven't yet closed a successful round. Whether it's an A or B or C, and it's 3 million, 15 million, or 90 million. There are real specific reasons why you may not be closing your round. In order to close a round, you have to show demand for the product. That customers are going to want to buy the product for the price you need to sell it for. Without showing customer demand and repeatability of that demand and sales, investors are likely going to say no. Most founders, I find, spend way too much time talking about their product. Look, your product, you developed it. Probably from an idea, you've probably got hours and hours and sleepless nights, all the things that go into creating a new product or service for your potential customers. But fundamentally, investors don't really care about the product. Investors don't fund products. They fund demand. They fund the fact that customers are going to want to rip that product out of your hands and pay you for it. Hi, I'm Brett Sharonow, an expert at raising capital. I've been raising capital for more than 36 years now. I've done it for more than 300 clients, and I've raised more than $920 million. One of the key things about raising capital today is that you have to have what's called a compelling case for customers. In my equity raise triad triangle, it's at the lower left corner. And the compelling case for customers means that customers are going to want to rip the product out of your hand and pay you for it because they want it so badly. That's hugely important, and that's what you need to get across to investors. The compelling case for customers answers the question why people want to buy what you are selling at the price you want to sell it for. It gets across to the investors that you've got something that's magical, unique, special, that has such a demand, people cannot resist buying the product. Investors aren't looking for a product that's innovative. They're not looking for a product that's interesting. They're looking for a product that customers, your customers, are going to buy repeatedly at the price you need to charge for it. When investors listen to your pitch and hear you talk about what you're selling and making and trying to fund, they're listening for real demand. They're not looking for demand that's forced. They're not looking for the used car salesperson kind of demand where you're beating the person over the head to buy the car that's on the car lot. Customers need to be attracted to the product because it's so amazing, and you've demonstrated that. Without that, it makes the potential investment in your company very, very uncertain for the investor. Today's market, there are a lot more certainties out there with new products that are being developed. They are looking for as much certainty as they can. Venture capital, private equity, corporate VC, even a family office. They're looking for you to reduce the risk. And one of the big ways that you can reduce that risk is by showing demand. Now, you might be asking, what about if I can't show demand? My product's not done. I'm not even at the minimum viable product stage. How can I do that? You need to get creative. You need to figure out a way to cause the investors to have their own demand potentially for your product if you can't demonstrate it elsewhere. I'll give you an example. About 10 years ago, I was talking to a company that was making this brand new, really amazing ice cream. They had some really outrageous flavors at the time. They're more common today, but it was organic. It was locally grown, mint and all those kinds of things. They were really trying to get investment to build the business. Now, they're taking me through their presentation, and about 20 minutes in, I stopped them and I said, I see what you're trying to do. How many meetings have you had? How many investor meetings? And they said about 10. And I said, okay, and have you had much interest? No, nobody's really come back to us with anything in a while. I said, okay. I said, what flavors have you brought in when you've made your pitch? And they looked at me like, what do you mean? You've brought ice cream in, right? No, we haven't done that. Okay, look, if you want to get the investors excited about what you're doing and you don't have big sales yet, why don't you go out and get a cooler, get some dry ice, pack it with 3 flavors, pack a number of quarts of those same 3 flavors in another cooler, and when you walk into your next investor meeting, have some small bowls, have some of those really cool little wooden sticks that are disposable, dish out the ice cream, and give it to the potential investors while you're pitching. Do you think tasting your ice cream, like I did 5 minutes ago, they're not going to be excited and potentially want to invest? So they took that idea and ran with it. Fundamentally, you have to convince the investor that there's something compelling about what you've got and that it's so amazing or magical that your customers are going to want to rip it out of your hands. Product focus doesn't do it. Demand does. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment below, and please let me know what you want me to cover next in these breakdown videos. Thanks a lot.